How's it going, everyone? And you know what? Forget about Gears of War, forget about Halo, forget about Forza. I know when it comes to these Xbox games coming to PlayStation, y'all can't wait to drop $70 on Starfield. Now, I joke, but Starfield coming to PlayStation 5, I think even after everything, the reception of the game, the quality level of the game, whatever you want to say, I still think it would be notable, and we'll talk about that as reports are suggesting that Starfield could be announced for PlayStation 5 as early as next week, and I think timing-wise, it's interesting because the State of Play is rumored to happen next week as well. We'll talk about that, and a game that could be present at that State of Play is one Death Stranding 2. It looks like we might get an update on that game soon as there's now a new age rating for the game. We'll talk that at the end of this video. But first of all, according to Starfield Insider Oda SFA, next week will bring news in relation to the action RPG, but not the one that fans expect. A lot of speculation on potentially the game coming over to PlayStation 5. During a recent interview with Destin Legiri, Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer was asked if he could solidify that Starfield will stay put on as an Xbox console exclusive. Spencer responded by saying there's no specific game that he would put a ring around and saying it won't go to a place where it would have players that would bring a business success. I do question as far as Starfield coming to PlayStation 5. You know, porting a game to another platform, it's not like this, it's this incredibly expensive endeavor. Does it cost some money? Yeah, but it's not this crazy expensive endeavor that you need to sell 1 million copies right off the bat to recoup all of the cost of porting the game. Rather, you release the game, there's going to be an influx of people that I do believe will buy the game at $70. I truly do believe that. People with disposable income, people that look at Starfield as an experience that they want to have, there's always going to be an audience for a game like Starfield. And it's from Bethesda. People are inherently going to have some level of interest. Is it going to sell 3 million copies in 24 hours? Highly doubt that, but you take Starfield, you bundle in Shattered Space, and you price it at, I don't know, 60, 70 bucks. I really do believe there's going to be an audience of people that would check it out. It would be nice if we get some sort of launch discount or something like that, but ultimately, you release these games at a delay, you'll get the influx of people that'll play the game right out the gate. It's not going to be a lot, but then, over time, it's going to get discounted, and you'll bring the game to new people. If you look at the PlayStation numbers on Steam and PC, they aren't astronomically high, but what it offers is another passive revenue stream. You're going to make money passively for years and years off of these games being available on the digital storefronts. Now, obviously, if the game was released day one, I think you would have way more people checking it out, because with a game like Starfield, with a lot of these games that get ported over to PC as well, and FF7 Rebirth, for example, the hype around the game really is at its pinnacle in that week one. After that, depending on the quality level of the game, it falls off a cliff, or it'll sustain it for a little bit. Like, if you compare Starfield to Elden Ring, for example, Elden Ring has had way more staying power, even though it's not necessarily a live service game constantly getting updated. It's just a higher quality game, generally speaking, by most people's perspective. Starfield came out, had a lot of buzz going into its release, and I think there were a lot of people upset about it. I personally did enjoy Starfield. I do think the content got pretty diluted with all the different planets and things like that. Also, I saw a lot of people, leading into the release of the game talking about the endgame cycle. I wasn't a big fan of, the endgame cycle and where it goes on New Game Plus and everything like that. I know some people were into it. I wasn't crazy about it, but, that is really up to you and your own opinion. I do think sometimes I assess this from the vacuum of my audience. My audience, I don't think there's going to be that many people, honestly, dropping $70 on Starfield. Are there people that watch my content that are interested in Starfield on PlayStation 5? Sure, but I think the majority of people watching my content are going to wait for that game to be heavily discounted. But I still see there being value on dropping the game on PlayStation 5. And I do think if Starfield comes to PlayStation 5, I think by the time we're talking about Elder Scrolls 6, if Microsoft decides to continue to go down this path, I think Elder Scrolls 6 will ultimately be a multi-platform game, whether that be a PS5 game or a PS6 game. That remains to be seen, but I do think Elder Scrolls 6 and a lot of those titles, by the time we get to that, it's going to be 27, 28 most likely, and I think Microsoft, we're going to see how this multi-platform strategy really does transpire. When it comes to the bigger games, it was one thing with Hi-Fi, it was one thing with Pentiment, but we saw with Sea of Thieves, that game sold outstandingly well on PlayStation 5, and again, that's a delayed release. I expect Forza Horizon to do very well. If they bring that Gears trilogy day one, I think the Gears trilogy is gonna crush it. Like, are you kidding me? The original 3 Gears of War games remastered, available on all platforms with cross-platform multiplayer. Price that sucker at $60, and you're gonna sell millions of copies of that. I am truly confident in that. But it's gonna be a case-by-case basis. Like Hellblade 2, that comes out at $50 on PlayStation next week. I don't think that's doing that well. Indiana Jones, I don't think is gonna do that well right out the gate. Like, I really enjoyed the Indiana Jones game, but I don't think a lot of people are gonna be rushing out to pay $70 for that game on a 6-month delay. Much like I don't think a lot of people are gonna be rushing out to pay $70 for Starfield, but you know, remains to be seen. But even with that, I think there's value in games like Indiana Jones and Starfield, even at a delay. Being on PlayStation 5, you're gonna make passive revenue off of it, even if people don't rush out to buy it day one. When it goes on sale, more and more people are gonna pick it up, and the cost of porting it isn't gonna be that expensive, and I'm sure the sales will offset that. Moving on from that, while Starfield is rumored for next week, Death Stranding 2 has gotten rated in the South Korean ratings board, leading towards some people speculating that we might hear an update about the game. Now, Hollow Knight Silksong received a rating back in April of 24, for example, and that game hasn't been seen since then. So a ratings board listing isn't always an indication, but a lot of the times we see games not even get announced, get listed on ratings board, and then they come out or they get announced very quickly thereafter. Ratings listings are usually a pretty good insight on an update coming. With Death Stranding 2, I'm really curious when this game is going to come out, because I would be of the mindset that PlayStation, by the looks of it, based on what's announced, they've got 3 major titles that they're publishing this year. Lost Soul Aside, Death Stranding 2, and Ghosts of Yotei. Timing is always going to be when are these games ready, and you kind of got to release them when you release them, but I would try to space those games out as best as possible. Maybe a Yotei in the summer, Lost Soul Aside if you can get it out late spring, early June, something like that, and then Death Stranding 2, that big fall game. I think that would make a lot of sense, and it would give you something at least for people to sink their teeth into. And then if you throw in some sort of surprise remastered release, like, I ain't even gonna joke about Bloodborne, but like, let's say you get out Days Gone Remastered, baby. I know people are gonna meme on that to death, but I saw some of you guys in the comments saying you'd be excited for Days Gone Remastered. But if you get a remaster out there, maybe one that people would actually, you know, be a little bit more excited for, like a collection of PS3 games, if it's not Bloodborne. But I think Sony could still end up having not a great year, but a year that at least there's gonna be some titles for us to sink your teeth into. It's really the first party thing that's unfortunate, but you'll get Yotei, that'll be big. Death Stranding 2, they're publishing that, and that'll obviously be big. And Lost Soul Aside could be that sleeper. I'm a little skeptical on it because of how long it's been in development, but I'm hoping for the best out of that game, and hopefully with State of Play, we get a little bit more insight on each of those games and the release windows at the very least for those titles. Like Lost Soul Aside, it's coming out in 2025, or that's what's noted. I am still fairly skeptical on that game ever coming out. Following that game for like 9 years has been quite the trip, but hopefully it'll be out relatively soon. But that'll do it for me. Again, Starfield could be seeing an announcement next week, but also, I didn't even note this, we really got to space out these Xbox releases because we already know about Age of Mythology, we know about Forza Horizon. Starfield, I wouldn't do that, I wouldn't drop that until, I don't know, what, July? Like, I think that could be a decent summer game when a lot of things are dead, not a lot of big games are coming out. Like, drop Starfield then, I don't know. There's just dropping so many games, Microsoft is, that you want to space these out as effectively as possible, but we'll see about that, and Death Stranding 2 edging closer to a PS5 release. That's going to do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below, and let me know, what price point would you pay for Starfield? I do believe it's going to come out at $70, maybe bundled in with Shattered Space, or maybe they'll do Starfield at $60, Shattered Space at, you know, $20, $30, like the regular price, but let me know what price point Starfield has to get down to for you to pick it up, and Death Stranding 2 potentially coming closer to its release. That'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Sound off there. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.